much for joining me. My name's Carl Krenzel here on the Red Pill Investor podcast, as well as Sell More Homes Now, my YouTube channel on YouTube. If you're joining me for the very first time, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast or my channel here. I would encourage you to go ahead and subscribe, like, and rate us on iTunes or here on YouTube, because it certainly helps spread the word. And today what I wanted to share with you was a note that I had got from a good listening friend of ours over here at BiggerPockets. If you've not had a chance to check it out, you definitely, if you're an investor, especially realtor investors, realtors don't always know about all the resources that are available for them. And wholesalers and unlicensed people tend to know about certain things. And one of those resources is definitely BiggerPockets. If you've not had a chance to check BiggerPockets out, then I would highly recommend you as a realtor to go check it out, because they have tons of good resources for you over there. And of that, one of the listeners over there had wrote me a note. His name is Jordan Solomon. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, Jordan, to write me a note. I want to go ahead and share it with everybody else. I'll obviously cut certain parts of it out, but I wanted to share it because this is something that is a problem that so many realtors face and so few brokers address. So I wanted to go ahead and cover this issue today on a podcast as well as a video, because it does come up multiple times, and it is something that is important that needs to be addressed. And I'm sure I've probably said it before, but I'll say it again because it bears repeating. So let's go ahead and read Jordan's letter. And if you're a broker, or if you're a real estate agent, I'd encourage you, I'd invite you to listen in and tell me how you feel about this. Tell me in comments below, or maybe in a private message DM, tell me what your advice to Jordan would be, because I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. So Jordan writes to me, he says, "Hey Carl, I actually just stumbled upon your YouTube channel today, and I'm really glad I did, as it pertains to exactly the issue that I'm dealing with now. Actually, I first found you on a response you wrote on this thread 4 years ago, which was in BiggerPockets." And he lists it out. He says, "You're probably tired of talking or writing about the whole wholesaling with a license issue." I'm never tired of it. I never am. You guys can always write me your questions. I would encourage you to. I love hearing from you. I respond to everybody as fast as I can. He said, "You're probably tired of writing about this whole wholesaling with a license issue, but as I said, it's exactly what I'm trying to figure out now. The reason is simply that I've just passed both the exams necessary to obtain my license and am in the process of looking for a sponsoring broker. One reason, but not the only reason, I wanted to get my license in the first place was to aid me in wholesaling and give me the option of listing properties as well when the seller isn't motivated enough for a wholesale deal." Yeah, that's exactly what I'd want you to do. When you think about it, that's exactly what you need to do, because more often than not, all right, the homeowner, they're not motivated to take a wholesale deal. Let's just be clear. A wholesale deal is exactly that, a wholesale deal. We're talking about somebody who's willing to sell their property at an extraordinary discount so that you may turn around and sell it at a profit. The only way they're going to do that is if they're in extreme duress, okay? Or if you've lied to them. If you're a broker and a realtor and you do it the right way, you're not going to be able to lie to them. They're going to know what it's worth. Okay, so it is more often than not the situation where they will not be motivated to sell it as a listing initially, but once they get the value of a wholesale deal, when they realize what an investment property price is going to have to be, most of them are, gosh, we don't mind taking the time. The problem is many times that they just don't want to list the property. And again, as you've seen me in the live prospecting that we've done and some of the other live, if you've listened to the podcast, certainly on the premium podcast, we've got all kinds of examples of me on live appointments with real people where you can hear them and you hear them say they don't want to list, they just want to sell to a straight deal. But when they realize how much a straight deal is, this listing doesn't sound quite so bad. But I continue in his letter. He says, "I was speaking to a broker today at ABC Realty." We will leave Banana Realty out, right? The name of this company, but you can figure it out. I mean, this company is all over the United States. They're alphabet boys. They're very cute with their thing. He put down, which I thought would be a good match for this, as they are supposed to be kind of cutting edge and non-traditional. Those are the areas you really got to watch out for. If you're a realtor who invests, or a broker or a real estate agent, beware. Beware. Be afraid. Be very afraid of cutting edge and non-traditional agencies, because ultimately what ends up happening more often than not is you get screwed. He wrote down, she, the broker, actually got kind of cranky when I asked about it, making it very clear that it is against company policy, and it supposedly is not atypical at all for brokers. This surprises me, given how many investors, including some who supposedly wholesale, encourage people to get their license. People like myself. So basically, while you've done a great job talking about the benefits of getting one's license and the myths surrounding it, the fact is, it seems like it's a moot point if brokers don't agree. I mean, they're calling the shots here, not me. So what I'm asking you in this long-winded way is whether or not it's possible or a good idea for a wholesaler to get a license. I'm sorry, the question is not, I apologize, the question is not whether or not it's a good idea for a wholesaler to get a license. Apparently he stipulates that that's a good idea, but how it's even possible to do so. Any thoughts would be greatly appreciated, as I'm obviously confused right now and a bit disappointed. The truth be told, I was really looking forward to being able to do this. Thank you. Best regards, Jordan. You know, Jordan, I God bless you. You know, I really feel for you. I really do. And I wish I could reach through the screen and tell you that it's going to be okay. But it will. It's just you got in a bad group, okay? Let's just be clear, all right? For you and for the investors, the wholesalers out there, anybody who's planning on going out and joining a real estate company, okay? If you're a wholesaler, understand a couple fundamental things. First, the company you choose is important. It does matter. All right? It is important. It does matter who you choose. Don't pick a real estate company simply because of their low fees or the presence of investors in that company. That's not what you're there for. All right? I'm trying to get you to kind of see this in a different light, right? Wholesaling, investing in real estate and holding it, buying and holding, lease purchases, lease options, things of that nature. When you're trying to actually either flip the property or hold it as an investment, okay? As a realtor, that is your retirement fund. That is, in some cases, like a wholesale deal, that it can be a source of income to you, another river of income to you, another flow, if you will. But primarily, you have to understand what business you're in. And as a realtor, as a real estate agent, most of your business, a large portion of your business, okay, is going to be people who are retail in nature, who are not interested in selling their property at a wholesale discount or as an investment, unless you specifically decide that is the only kind of piece of pie you're looking for. If that's the only kind of piece of pie you're looking for, then you can focus directly on those types of leads and those types of business. And the broker you choose will make a difference there to a lesser degree. But if on the other hand, you realize, well, gosh, that wholesaling and investment is just a part of my business. It's not everything, but it's just a part of my business. Well, then the company you choose matters. All right. Now, these alphabet boys that you chose over at ABC Realty, all right, I'll just leave their company name out, okay? Very large national company, been all over, but they have very, very loose regulations, and they have tons of people coming to them, and they have a profit-sharing kind of mode and blah, 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 right? Now, Fine, that's their business model. That's no problem. And you're absolutely right. The broker has the ultimate discretion and decision about what's going to happen within the practice itself because they are ultimately responsible for your activities. And if you're going to an alphabet boy type company, all right, then where you have limited broker supervision and they've got tons of agents out there just doing whatever the day they want to, they're going to be reluctant to allow you to go ahead and do wholesaling, especially if you can't explain it properly. If you come into a broker and you say, well, gosh, I want to wholesale property, I want to do this and I want to do that, I want to wholesale this and wholesale that, they're not really keen on that. They don't know what that is. And if they don't know what it is and you can't explain it properly, it sounds illegal to them. And if it sounds illegal, well, they're not going to want you to do it. And then they're going to tell you that every broker in town is not going to want you to do it. Consider, on the other hand, what if you changed your approach? What if you told them, gosh, hey, I'm considering joining your company, but I have a couple concerns. And they're going to say, well, what's your concern? I'd love to hear it. And you say, well, gosh, I invest property all the time. I tend to buy property and flip them. Now, when I buy them, I use a state contract. I disclose that I'm a realtor. Everything's on the up and up. I have them sign a CMA. I have them do everything according to the National Code of Realtors Association Code of Ethics. I've got that down. Everything's written, and it's all through the title companies. But I don't know if I'm going to flip it. I don't know if I'm going to repair it and sell for a profit, wholesale. I don't know, or assign it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But if I buy a property and I turn around and sell it, do you guys have policies for that allow me to? Most companies, most brokers are going to say, yeah, I mean, they're going to have a policy in place that will allow you to go ahead and write offers or sell your own properties or invest on your own behalf as an agent within their company. Most companies will have some kind of caveat or restriction on there, right? And that restriction or caveat many times will be a limitation on how many times, 2 homes a year, 5 homes a year, or whatever that are free. And then after that, you pay a certain amount or you pay a certain fee or a franchise fee or whatever, right? Now, here's where the interesting part comes, and this is why I wanted to make a podcast and a video about this, is so that we can kind of take a minute to dissect this issue at large and really understand the finer points of this. Because if you're explaining it in that fashion to your broker, saying, I'm looking to sell property, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, because you don't. You might buy it, hold it, keep it. You might find somebody who's going to finance your deal, and I don't know, or you might assign it. But the critical factor for your broker, the critical factor for your ownership is that you are doing things according to the Realtor Code of Ethics, that you're following a state contract, that you are disclosing the values, that you're giving them everything that we're talking about that the Code of Ethics requires. Now, if you're operating within the Code of Ethics and you buy a property, now we're taking it one step further, okay? Let's hypothetically say you didn't have this conversation with the alphabet boys at your previous company, right? And you came to him and he said, well, gosh, I've got a property under contract. I bought it from Joe Schmuckatelli. Here's his signed contract. I bought it under contract for $10 earnest money or whatever your earnest money. I opened up escrow and it's on a state contract and da. How is that contract any different than you writing a contract for a separate buyer? It is no different. The only difference is the fact that you personally are the buyer and that you personally are going to do something different with it. More often than not, the short story 13 minutes into this is simply this. More often than not, it's been my experience that we don't explain it properly, what we're doing, and we don't explain how legally we're doing it, to a degree that a broker could understand it. So if you can fully understand and fully explain what assignment of contract is, and you comply with the Code of Ethics, then I do not see how any broker or any realty company would prevent you from buying or selling your own property. That's the key. And that's an important discussion you have with your broker prior to the fact that you hire on. If you're out there as an investor and you're thinking to yourself, well, gosh, this sounds like an awful lot of trouble, don't be dissuaded. There can be a lot of money made as a realtor, especially if you can learn how to kind of navigate through the system. And this is just one of those navigation systems that you got to learn. How to navigate around your broker is just like learning how to navigate your boss at any other job. You have to learn how to talk and how to communicate with them and how to express what you're trying to do in a safe, non-threatening way. Because think about it, your broker is not making any money on this transaction whatsoever. They're not. Okay, you wholesale a transaction out, it's going to go through their internal record keeping system. Let's say, for example, you're at my company. The company's charged a certain percentage for every transaction that goes through as a commissioned type deal. And so if there's a commission paid out, the company has to pay a percentage of that to Sotheby's, right? In my case, Sotheby's, right? So the main company. And so if there's no money coming in because it's not even commission, it's just straight money going out. And if they had to pay that, which they don't, but if they did, well, then they'd be losing money. And so obviously your broker would be, well, gosh, this is not fair to me. So don't be so tight with your money that you think, gosh, if my broker's asking for like a management fee or administration fee or whatever, some kind of nonsense that they're asking for a fee for each transaction you do, that's a self transaction, a buy or a sale that you've done for yourself. If they're asking for a small fee for that, that's okay. Don't be afraid of that. I mean, if your dad's rich, you're never going to be poor. I mean, this stuff doesn't come for free. Electric is not cheap. I mean, you have to pay for it some way, right? So share with your broker. It's not a problem. But the key thing, I think, if you're starting out, get your license. But when you talk to your broker, be very, very clear about them what it is that you're trying to do. What is it you're trying to do? Very simple. You're assigning properties. You're putting properties under contract. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. I might close them personally. I might assign the contract. When you start saying wholesaling, I'm going to wholesale it out. Brokers don't buy that. Brokers don't know that term. That's not a term that we learn in broker school. That's a internet term. Wholesaling. Not going to find it in a real estate book. It's not like that. You might wholesale corn or wholesale oranges or wholesale fruit. Wholesale houses, however, is not the same lexicon that a realtor is going to use. So hopefully that helps you when you're trying to decide your company. Again, just have a straight up forward conversation with them. I hope that helps you so much. And I hope that it helps you. And if it does, do me a favor, share it on your social media, let other friends know. But most of all, just keep positive with your broker. Let them know in advance what's going on. And more often than not, I think what you'll find is your broker is more than willing to work with you because they want you to be a productive part of the team. Just go talk to a different broker, talk to a different company, maybe not an alphabet company, maybe somebody with, a little bit more established in your neighborhoods, right? These fly-by-night companies, little bitty companies with the, only cost you $100 or whatever to join. It's not worth your time. Okay. If you're going to be a professional, be a professional. Let people look at you in that light, and it's okay. Well, guys, thank you for listening to this. I hope this is helpful. I hope you have, as always, a powerful sales day.